When I first, my teacher in high school, his name was Costu, Dimitri Costu.
He was my teacher.
Oh, you're kidding. We didn't even get that far.
Yeah. He was my chorus.
Oh, my goodness.
Teacher in ninth grade.
That's, oh.
Wow. That's a small world.
Wow. It is. No, this isn't planned, is it? Isn't it true, though, that, I mean, with change, okay, and you're speaking of how a great work can change from one era to the... A lot of it has to do with just simple survival or making it palatable for the social acceptance of the time
social worries of our time.
Business. You know, because if you know...
Would you agree to a certain extent that it has, like, for Carousel to be done in the
look at
90s,
Carousel.
you have
Oh,
to...
yeah, you have to.
You had, you know, you can't just gloss over issues
But
like wife beating and violence and suicide. You have to address them in the 90s.
Right. I have a theory that there are revivals are classics, and they should be treated as classics. And so therefore, when you're in England, you don't say, oh, here's that old Noel Coward again. You say, here's Noel Coward's classic, and there might be 4 of them on the West End at the same time. And everybody says, oh, just revivals, but they're classics, and they're not changed for our time. And I think the same thing, I think, should be held true for the showboats and any of the other, and the carousels. You, in the direction of it, is where you have the new and the
just
significant.
A new way of looking at it without changing it.
Yes, because there are like generations who come up not knowing what that's all about.
And I think that's important. We're going to have to continue that after this because we now have to take a break.
You can't go to clubs.
No.
You can't be around people that smoke. You
No.
can't be in loud places. I mean, it's just endless.
You do have to, it's like
thing
becoming
about
a hypochondriac, you know.
Well, yes, the hard thing about it is I was just saying this as we were commenting on the hour of getting here this morning, that we are indeed vampires. I mean, we kind of live by night, but we can't live like vampires. You know, we entertain the vampires. So we're on their schedule, but we can't. You know what I'm saying? But we can't act like them because we have to, constantly, be in good voice and be using our instrument 100%. And so it's. I think it's a major sacrifice.
Wonderful to hear, because we constantly hear about British actors and the British theater being more disciplined than ours, and the British have more discipline. Certainly couldn't ask for more than that. But what would you say, Rosemary?
I was just going to quote Sir Laurence Olivier, because he said the most important attribute an actor can have is stamina.
Who else would like to go into a straight play without singing?
Well, I don't know. For me, it's just wherever I think the work that I believe in takes me. Whether my next project could be an opera. If it's the right part for me, or if the right part for me were to come along in a straight play, I would want to do that as well. I think it depends on where the soul of the artist craves to go to next, and whatever opportunity drops in your lap.
For some reason, I feel that it's the challenge. That and I get off on that. If there's a challenge, then I'm going to go for it and try to conquer whatever that is, and that is what this is all about. Even if you haven't been trained, you can develop your own technique.
That's true too.
To get through it, and that you have to rely on and also believe in. Is whether it's sheer guts or technique, one way or the other, you're going to persevere.
I think also you need to I think it's very important that you need to take everything. I believe you need to take everything, not bring your baggage on stage with you. But you need to take everything that has happened to you in that day, or what has happened in the world in that day, and use it when you get on stage. I remember when the O.J. Simpson thing happened, and we're dealing with a show about wife beating. There was no way that no one in the audience wasn't thinking about the fact that O.J. Simpson was being chased down a freeway at that moment, and we're doing a show about wife beating. We had to use it. So just the same as like when you're sick, so you bring that reality to your character. But as long as you're 100% committed to that, and committed to that we're all having a group consciousness now of what's going on in the society, or what's going on with Lynette when she's sick, or so they're thinking, Billy, God, she was so sick, she was so unhealthy, she was drinking so much, and still look what she was able to do. You have to I think that is just as important as a part of a technique and a discipline as the actual, physical.
What do you do?
It is.
What do you do?
Well, there's a wonderful doctor I know called Dr. Theatre. And the old adage is, however ill you're feeling, as an actor I'm talking, not as a singer, is that somehow when you get on stage, you shoot out that adrenaline, and adrenaline is a great cure. and somehow all your aches and pains disappear for that time that you're on the stage.
One of the things that's happened in the Times today, it's announced the carousel will be closing.
Yeah.
So that's one more factor that goes into the discipline of acting, as if, without regard to whatever, or embracing whatever. Because have you known for a week or so that this was going to be the case?
Well, to talk about getting what happens in your day into your show, they told us at half hour before a show. And I think it was Thursday night. And they told us before, you know, it was printed in the papers, but that's the only time they can gather the entire cast and everybody together. And we had everything was relevant that night. Every time Mrs. Mullen said, "Stop the carousel," we were like, oh my God. But we ended up having a very, I mean, everybody's energy and focus was on, wow, we're not going to be able to do this for very much longer. And so we all brought in that to our show, and we ended up having a really wonderful show that night. We had tons of understudies on, but we had a great show that night.